it's Sevi. The much-awaited Tenjo Archon has finally arrived, and let's get straight to the point. Nahida is an incredible character that lives up to her Archon status. If you've been enjoying the teams and want to take them to the next level, Nahida is that. She's an all-around unit who boasts an amazing DPS and support for, well, basically
Right
any
now, emerge. Right here.
Strike a pose! Not for real fun!
And shroud.
Let's nip that in the bud.
Let the world collide! Go get it, Uruguay! Uruguay, you're up!
Emerge. Right here. Emerge.
Showing you!
I'll uproot you!
Holy shit, this team is actually pretty powerful.
Stay tuned for those and click that subscribe button to get notified. Let's get started with Nahida's talents and gameplay.
Nice to meet you. My name's Nahida. I want to hear all about your travel stories.
Nahida's normal attacks are a 4-hit combo with standard ICT. These are mid-range attacks launched in a line in front of her, which gives them the potential to hit multiple enemies that are lined up properly. Then her charged attack is the stronger attack with a separate ICT. It summons this cube that collapses the damage of target area. It can also
Strike a pose!
Do your work!
together to be Jade and his normal are relevant as for a source of
Tamara still has my favorite battle themes. I actually don't like Fontaines.
Born of icy frost.
I actually can't decide now which one I like the least. Inazuma's battle themes or Fontaines.
Moving on, Nahida's skill has 2 ways. Pressing it will hit enemies in PoE around Nahida to damage.
Fontaines has too many instruments, it's too complex.
Seconds. Enemies that are tagged by the spider will get damaged and also be marked. Her skill can march its range reaches pretty far, and it will even tag enemies that are obscured by other enemies or structures as long as they're range. Holding the skill, panning it, and letting go quickly is quite easy to get the hang of, but the skill also has a relatively short signal. Now, so that so what does this part actually do? Mark enemies on the for 25 seconds by placing a reaction content.
Next on the agenda.
As a multi-target weapon, this talent is a valuable source of danger application or reaction damage when it is present.
Showing you praise!
All you have to do is mark them and it stays for a long time. Then you apply the mark if needed. That is, if they're still alive. Regardless of marks of function, whether or not the reaction or evidence are generated. From what I've observed, she generates a constant 3 particles, but there is a cooldown of about 8 or 4 seconds between instances of particle generation, and this can be triggered whether Nahida is on-field or off-field. Moving on to her burst. When cast, Nahida summons the Shrine of Maya, which covers a very large area of the battlefield. It doesn't do any damage or apply any potential by itself. Instead, it's the buffs as long as your team is inside its area. The buffs it gives depend on the number of Pyro, Electro, and Hydro units in your team. Each buff has 2 levels, but you have 1 or 2 of that particular element. For Pyro, the character count gives Nahida's Dry Karma Purification a damage bonus. For Electro, it decreases Nahida's Dry Karma property by a certain amount. Again, the default interval is 2.5 seconds. So, for example, if you have 2 Electro teammates and one reduction at 0.6 seconds, then the Dry Karma interval is at 1. seconds. But note that in practice, you won't always be able to consistently take full advantage of the reduced interval rate, since it's also dependent on how fast you get your reactions, as well as the timing of your reactions or hits. For example, interval rate 1.9 seconds, but with the proper reaction 8 seconds in, and your next reaction will prompt 2.2 second mark, then the tri-karma will prompt at that 2.2 second mark, not sooner. Still, the interval reduction can ultimately translate to faster tri-karma prompts. Then for the hydro buff, it's simply the saturation of Shrine of Maya, thereby prolonging the uptime of Nahita's other buffs. In relation, Nahita's A1 passive adds another buffing effect to her burst. As long as you're within the Shrine of Maya field, it adds EM to the active character based on 25% of the highest EM of the character. The maximum
One with the force.
added
Don't be scared.
Bury you.
Okay, so the effect is there are the actions that are worth regarding the upgrade.
Right now. Right here. Emerge.
The highest EM that will be calculated for the buff upon its casting. Any changes in the EM of that party member after casting will no longer be factored.
The show begins!
Here's an example. Albedo has a 125 EM buff to his teammates when he casts his burst. Let's compare using Albedo's burst before and after casting Nahita's burst. If Albedo uses it before, the resulting EM of Nahita is higher. If Albedo uses it after, the EM of Nahita is slightly lower. That's because we took trying snapshots of Albedo's EM buff and factored it in the calculation of the EM shared, whereas it did not in the latter case. Then, even if Albedo's EM buff expires already, the shrine still adds the same amount of EM. It's not that since, again, Nahita's A1 buff is a snapshot, not a dynamic calculation. So, if you want to maximize the EM when passive gives, then be conscious of the order of the EM buffs and 2, if there are flat EM additions like Winter Residence or Instructor Set, then it is factored with 25% calculation of Nahita's E1 passive. However, it seems that an EM buff that is percent based, particularly super sustainable passive, which adds 80% of her EM, is not factored in. Then this passive does not work with specific weapons. For example, Wandering Even Star and the Staff of Scarlet Sands both have attack buffs that are based on the holder's EM. However, they do not include with Nahita's A1 buff. On the other hand, Hunter's Path has a charge attack damage bonus increase that scales with EM, and that does get affected by Nahita's A1 buff. Lastly, there are also other talents that ignore this buff. For instance, Sucrose and Kazuha's A4 passives, which buff EM and elemental damage bonus respectively, do not count Nahita's A1 EM buff in what they add. Anyway, those are just some particular interactions behind it, and there are more that can be tested for verification, but really ignore thinking about these to avoid further complicated things. Moving on, Nahita's A4 passive involves her own EM stat. Each EM point beyond 200 gives Nahita a 0.1% damage bonus and a 0.03% crit rate for her Tri-Karma damage. Since it's particular to just one talent, the added scaling will not appear in her stat page. The effect caps at 1000 EM, counting the starting 200 EM, resulting in 80% damage bonus and 24% crit rate added. This is a nice passive that makes EM have further means to scale her damage, and it also makes building her crit stats less painful. Finally, Nahita's Exploration passive is the most fun one yet, in my opinion. Using her skill's Viewfinder mode allows for an instant pickup of harvestable goods, which is very convenient for hard-to-reach things, or if you're just lazy. It has an interesting effect on NPCs too. If you aim your viewfinder at someone, it allows you to read thoughts, though it seems to only work in Sumeru NPCs that have names. It's a fun way to experience her unique Archon ability. Shines into the desert. It's very cute. For talent priorities, if you're playing the off-field, prioritize her skills first while leaving her auto attacks alone. But if you're playing Nahita on-field, you will want to level up all her talents.
If you're not sure what to do next, how about I take you on a walk?
Now let's see what her constellations do. Let me first emphasize that Nahita is incredible at C0 already, and constellations are very unnecessary. They are mainly damage upgrades for Nahita or her team. D1 adds an extra count for every buff of her burst, guaranteeing at least the level 1 effect of each element. So for example, even if you don't have a pyro unit on the team, Nahita's burst will give her the level 1 buff associated with pyro. Though it sounds great, the damage increase from this constellation isn't that noticeable in many scenarios, unlike her next constellation. D2 seems to be her best constellation as it enables crazy effects on enemies marked by her skill. First, it allows burning, Hyper Bloom, and Virgin damage to crit,
Excuse me?
so these are fixed at 20% crit rate and 100% crit damage. Regardless, that's already a significant boost to such teams. Second, it gives a 30% defense shred for 15 seconds to enemies that get affected by quickening and spread. Note that Nahida and her teammates will all be able to take advantage of this defense shred. This makes it a DPS increase not just for Nahida, but for her entire team. If you really are for constellations, this is the best one to stop at. D3 increases her skill talent by 2 levels, or it gives her a buff.
Shudder! No one escapes my sight! Who is what?
You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer. You've been a naughty boy.
Extra source of damage called the farm.
Beg for mercy. Blood of frost! Crush!
It's the source of huge damage. Lets her front load big damage and speed run combat.
Come a little closer.
And Nahida is amazing and
Blitz.
their best option.
Let's spark things.
Go, go, bitch! I swear by my sword! Beg for mercy. I'll race you there! No escape! Must leave! Screaming.
Additional hit and reaction damage to this class. They only come from very
Eye for an eye!
You're in for a little shock.
Crush!
The A1 passive will turn that into 1000 EF first. Then with the B4 passive, that will
Barbados! Guide us!
You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer.
So choose the one with better
Come a little
success.
closer. Blitz. Try not to.
No one escapes my sight! Beg for mercy! Vengeance will be mine! Crush!
Uses a liability since she can't Hyper Bloom.
DPS like Aggravate. Again, note that her A1
In this
passive
team.
caps at 1000 M. As for her recommended charge, if you're playing her on field, it can range from 100 to 150% PR, since she's catching her own dendro particles and enemy particles. But if she's mainly off field, she'll need more PR. 130 to 160% starting range, but as always, this can vary according to the number of enemies, particle generating, and ER enhancing equipment. So test according to your own setup. For her substats, for EM and crit pulse, and enough particle coverage requirement. Attack percent is much less desirable compared to EM, but it's not complete. Then you get some points. Then for her 2 artifact sets, Nahida
I don't think I have anything else I can give her though.
Making her very straightforward to build. First is the 4-piece sequence memories for its Dendro damage and Dendro resistance shred. If no one else on the team is already using it, having her equip this will generally be preferable to boost your team's Dendro damage and Bloom damage. However, 2 instances of deep Dendro resistance shred do not stack. Someone else in the team holding deep with already, this set will be landed on Nahida. So the next best set will be the 4-piece Gilded Dreams. It boosts her own BM, which improves her damage and support utilities. It can have a smaller attack hit too. Alternatively, Nahida can hold 2 combos of deep for deep sets. Big pieces that give best up stats.
What they say is true. You have to see the world for yourself to appreciate how beautiful it is.
Now, let's take a look at Nahida's catalyst. Thankfully, she's got very good selections from friendly to expensive weapons. Starting with her 3 stars, we have 2 good options. The first is the Magic Guide, which is easy to recommend as a cheap to build, free to play friendly, and solid weapon. even as a 3-star. Despite its low base tag, it gives a relatively high EM stat, and it's passive, which gives a damage bonus against enemies affected by Hydro and Electro. It also synergizes well in such teams. The second is Thrilling Tales, which is a niche option, but one that can be situationally useful if she's buffing an attack scaling carry teammate. Now let's go through her recommended 4-star options. The Solar Pearl is one of her best 4-star weapons, especially for an on-field carry playstyle. It's great since it gives a damage bonus buff to both her normal attacks and skill damage, and also affects her spread damage. However, this weapon's passive lies an off-field, and of course, it's locked behind a battle pass purchase. Next is the Widsith, another one of her best 4-star weapons and potentially more accessible since it can be acquired from any banner. It's also best used in an on-field carry playstyle. Any one of the random buffs
Damn, I shouldn't have gotten rid of those.
but of course, the EM or elemental damage buffs are way more preferable. The Sacrificial Fragments is a solid choice thanks to its high EM and accessibility. Nahida can proc the skill reset effect very reliably, especially with multiple tagged enemies, as long as she's on field. This means you can trigger consecutive reactions with her skill activation, which is nice for triggering spread reactions quickly. The Wandering Even Star is also a solid choice as Nahida utilizes both its EM substat and attack buff and passive. It also has slightly better value if she's with teammates that appreciate the team-wide attack buff it gives. Unfortunately, it's a limited banner weapon from the weapon banner. The Mama Mare is a solid and frequently friendly option. Nahida will appreciate its high attack, stat, and passive. However, if you haven't crafted one yet and want to save your resources, you can just go for the Magic Guy, which is close in strength, until something significantly better comes along. Lastly, the Favonius Codex is a niche recommendation, but it can be situationally useful if your team values the energy particle generation for burst uptimes and smooth rotations. Finally, her 5-star options. 1,000 Floating Tree is Nahida's signature weapon. It gives the highest income of any catalyst by far, its passive synergizes her tiles, and it also provides a small Favonius Rarity is another top-class option to its crit damage stat and its skill damage buff, which synergizes well with her playstyle. And lastly, it's another solid 5-star choice, though not as good as the aforementioned ones. It's mainly a crit rate stat stick, and at least it's more accessible than other 5-stars by using on the weapon banner or just pulling from the standard banner.
Allowing me to be here to win. It's really so good.
Finally, we have her teams. Again, I will have a separate detailed video regarding Nahida's team comps, synergies, and rotations. But to start you off, I'll briefly discuss Nahida's team building potential. Let's briefly recap what Nahida does well for her teams. 1. She provides a way to conveniently and consistently reapply Dendro to enemies, whether she's on field or off field. 2. She can be the one to prompt or set up reactions for your teammate. 3. She can be a spread DPS unit that is used on field. And 4. She has an abundant support utility that helps increase your team's reaction damage. With all she can do, Nahida will slot very well into our existing Dendro team template. First, she can be the Dendro unit, helping maintain quick and uptime for her electro-aggravated teammates, where Nahida will be off-field most of the time. She will still be doing considerable damage since her Tri-Karma Purification procs spread damage on each tick. Alternatively, Nahida can also be played on-field as a spread DPS. Until now, Tignari has been the main candidate for such a role, but Nahida will also be able to dish out lots of damage with her adorable hopping animation. These units can or electro or Dendro units, or supports that won't disrupt quick reactions. For Bloom teams, Nahida's amazing Dendro application definitely improves the generation of Dendro cores. In regular games, Nahida will serve as an on-field driver, but as an off-field unit, Nahida's Tri-Karma needs to be procced consistently in order to maintain uptime on her Dendro aura. If enemies are no longer taking Dendro core damage or receiving reactions, Nahida's Dendro will run out too. As always, the flex slots can be another Dendro animal or Cryo. For Nilou, Nahida is a good upgrade to the currently limited
Strike a pose!
to Hydro format, or she can be a solo Dendro on-field driver. She's viable as a solo Dendro that way. There is some flexibility for a third Hydro without sacrificing generation. The main concern if she's on is that she does need very reliable to stay alive from all the bountiful core cells. For Hyperbloom and Virgin teams, the team format will be as usual. What's interesting though is that by leaving Electro or Pyro Trigger on, they will give them and buff from Vegeta's becomes massive. So even for the cases of Idiot Rabbit, Puma, who could fully do their Hyperbooms and Virgins from off, they can move on to this that
No, why would you do that?
for Hydra application of Hyperbooms. Okay, let's they need it before they want to spread she can enable burning and to some extent even reverse melting. Note that the burning aura does not re-trigger simply with pyro reapplication. Once the burning aura has expired, the enemy will on them that needs Dendro application to reapply the burning reaction, which they need a strike karma procs for auto attacks help with. Further, you can call in cryo units to reverse melt. Proccing melt reactions with cryo units re-triggers Nahida's strike karma, which keeps the burning going. However, there are some challenges to maintaining uptime on all the reactions, so this needs more testing to determine the best teams and rotations. I'm excited for players to try out Nahida with different teams and stretch the limits of Dendro with her. I found her very fun to play, and she feels like a good upgrade to the Dendro reaction teams we've always been working with up to now. As I've said, I think she lives up well to her Argon status, and for sure, there's still a lot more for her to grow. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of her if you've got
Beg for mercy.
that's going to be all for this
Crush.
video. Don't forget to like,
You're in for a little shock.
channel if you haven't already.
Beg for mercy.
You're in for a little shock. You're in for a little shock. You've been a naughty boy.
Crush. Yeah. More speed. Shudder. Surrender, Navi. Let it rain. I swear by my sword. Crush. Flood of frost. Shudder. Well met. Crush.
Come a little closer. You're in for a little shock. Blitz.
Go, go, bear! No escape! Wind, hear me!
You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer. You've been a naughty boy. Let's spark you.
Shudder! Beg for mercy. Rack and ruin. Vengeance will be mine. Crush. Beg for mercy. I'll be back.
Oops.
Vengeance.
I needed to change her weapon as well. Yeah, I don't think there's any making this team stronger.